I tested 5 very popular project management tools so that you don't have to. I'm going to tell you which one we ended up going with and how you can run your entire business from one app. We're going to look at the pros and cons of all of them. So let's jump right in. So if you're at the point in your business where you need to move beyond a Google sheet or an Excel sheet or a printed to-do list or a pen and paper, this is the video for you, because this is what project management software is all about. But how do you choose the right one that's going to work for your business? So if we look at some of the most popular platforms, usually you're going to have Trello, Basecamp, Asana, Monday.com, and ClickUp. Those are the ones people talk about the most, so it seems. And I've used all of them, not just as a quick test, but extensively. Some of them we've used for years, and some of them we've tested for a few months. But ultimately, we landed on one of them, and I'm going to go through all of them. They'll tell you which one I recommend, and we'll take it from there. So let's start with Trello. What's good? What's bad about it? Well, Trello is the OG. Now, this was something that I was using way before they were even acquired by Atlassian. It's good. It's a simple Kanban style board. It's easy to learn. You have a free version for small teams. The bad thing is it's not robust enough for business needs. It doesn't have time tracking. It has limited reporting, and you're going to outgrow it pretty quickly. But if you just need personal task management and you like that Kanban style where you can move things from different columns and you have these individual cards, it might not be a bad choice if you want something super simple. It's definitely the most basic of all the tools that we're going to be looking at. Now, I used it for small side projects, things that are not directly tied to my business. And for that, it's okay, but I wouldn't really put it up there against some of these other ones if you are really trying to scale up and grow a team or build your team and truly professionalize your project management. So that's Trello. Then we have Asana. Let's look at that one next. Now, Asana has been around for a long time. Believe it or not, it was actually founded by a co-founder of Facebook, and they've pretty much been a solid choice for many enterprise companies. You can see here 85% of Fortune 100 companies choose Asana. So they've definitely gone up market, and they're targeting some larger companies. Now, the good is that it has a clean interface, strong task management. It has a pretty robust free tier, has multiple project views. The bad part is it can be confusing, especially when you're getting into more complex project management. Customization's a little bit wonky, and reporting is very, very basic in my opinion. So I would say if you are an enterprise company or you have a lot of people on your team and you really need some of those more robust enterprise level team collaboration features, it might not be a bad tool. Now, I feel like they have not really kept up with modern design when it comes to interface. So that was the main reason we switched away from it about a year ago. We had used it at our agency at Earnworthy for about 3 or 4 years, and then we switched out of it just because it felt like some of these other ones that we're going to be talking about just were much more modern and really with more of a modern look and feel. But it's not a bad tool. It would probably be my second choice compared to some of these other ones that we're looking at. If I had to pick like a second runner-up to the one that we use now, I would probably go with Asana. Next up, we have Basecamp. Now, this is a very long-standing tool. You don't really hear that much about it anymore compared to some of the others. And I feel like they also have sort of fallen away a little bit because they haven't kept up, especially with the whole AI revolution. If you look at the founder story of the people who make it, 37 Signals, they have very strong opinions about project management. And there's a great book that the founders wrote called Rework. It was one of the first business books I read back in like 2010, 2011. So Basecamp, it's more than just software. It's really a philosophy of project management, and you have to really buy into their process in order to get value out of it. The other thing is, it just doesn't really look like what you would expect when you look at some of these other project management platforms, because it is a bit antiquated at this time. You can see that they have this Pro Unlimited plan where it's $299 a month, billed annually, all inclusive. That's for like really large teams. The funny thing with Basecamp is the one thing that I did like about them was their pricing, because for a long time they had something where you could pay like $99 a month and it was unlimited members. So you were never gonna have to worry about adding on a per seat basis. It looks though like they changed that. Now they just have this $15 per month user plan, or you have $299 a month billed annually, all inclusive. That's pretty steep if you have to pay annually and it's $300 a month. So I would say the old pricing was really the only thing that I liked about Basecamp, and they don't have that anymore. So I wouldn't really recommend it. Also, I think it tries to do too much. it tries to replace all these different apps, especially Slack. And to me, like we've tried to replace Slack, but it's just such a sticky product. Slack does such a good job at that one thing of internal team communication, replacing email, that I feel like a project management tool really shouldn't try to do too much. It should be good at what it's good at, which is project management, team collaboration, but it doesn't necessarily have to replace everything. And I feel like even though some of the other tools we're going to look at, including the one we switched to, does try to do everything, I feel like with Basecamp, if you're not using all the features, you're not going to really get value out of it. And I don't feel that way with some of the other tools that we're going to be covering, where you could just turn on and off the features. But with Basecamp, because of the way it's built, you really feel like you're missing out if you're not using. So for instance, they have a real-time chat feature that they try to use as a Slack replacement. It's just not that good. It's going to be very hard to get buy-in, especially if your team is already connected to Slack workspaces. So again, not something I would recommend. The only thing going for them was the pricing. And I feel like now that they changed it, I just don't recommend it. Next up, we have Monday.com. Now, when we switched from Asana to the tool that we are currently using, we first switched to Monday.com, and I was super excited. I thought we finally found it. This was going to be the tool that's really good at project management. It doesn't do too much. It's very modern. It's pretty affordable. If we look at the pricing, you could see it goes from free all the way up to $19 a month. If you pay monthly, it's a little bit more. And then we actually started using it. And the problem was some of the most simple things we just couldn't do in a very conventional way. For instance, recurring tasks, which is a huge part of project management for us and the way that we create tasks and operate a marketing agency. We need to have recurring tasks. And to me, it's intuitive that the recurring task would be something you would recur at the task level. With Monday, not to get into too much detail here, but from what I remember, and this was over a year ago, the recurring task had to be set up at the board level. And it's just little things like that. It just didn't make sense. Why would it be something you would set at the board level through an automation rather than at the task level if you want to recur a task? So it was not very intuitive when we actually started using it. And then if you're not using some of these other platforms that they also offer, like work management, development, service, and the CRM, it felt like it was disconnected, and it felt like we were only using one piece of the puzzle. And we already had good solutions for some of those other things, like Help Scout for service and obviously High Level for our CRM. So it was just something about it just felt a little bit too difficult to actually implement. Although in theory, it looks good, it sounds good. I would say it's probably my third favorite on the list, right behind Asana. And I don't say you should like ignore it, because it is a pretty popular product, but it just wasn't the right fit for us. Finally, we're going to go to the one that we ended up switching to. It is ClickUp. Now, I think I had originally heard about ClickUp because High Level, which you know I'm a huge High Level fan, they actually use ClickUp. I think ClickUp is just amazing. And it's one of those apps where they really do try to do everything. We don't use all the features. They do have something that's like a Slack alternative. We've turned that off. We don't use that. And that's what I like about it, is that unlike something like a Basecamp, where they really try to get you to use it for everything, with ClickUp, they sort of give you access to everything, but it doesn't get in your way if you don't want to use it. But there's so much in this platform, and the pricing is super affordable. They have a free plan, they have a $7 plan, they have a $12 plan. I think we're on the $12 plan currently. And then there's some add-ons now with AI that we're testing out. But the other cool thing is I kind of view ClickUp as the high level of project management software. And what I mean by that is they are always adding features. They are so responsive to just continually adding to the product. And my only concern early on was that it was kind of slow when I was working on it, especially in the browser, which most of these tools operate in the browser, although most of them do have apps that you can download both on desktop and on mobile. ClickUp has an amazing mobile app, by the way, and it's really the only mobile app of a project management software that I actually ended up using, because a lot of times they're very clunky. But the cool thing is, over the last 6 months, I've seen incredible speed and performance improvements with ClickUp, to the point now where I think it's one of the fastest project management tools that I've ever worked with. The other cool thing is, if we go through all the different products here, all the different capabilities and features, you can see they pretty much give you everything. One of my favorite features is a new feature called AI Note Taker. This thing, I've just started using this about a month ago. Now, I was previously using Fathom and Granola, and I still dabble with some of those other tools because I'm always comparing things. But what this is really helpful for is getting a transcript of your meetings. So it will join the meeting, it'll sort of sit there in the background, it'll transcribe the meetings, it'll take notes. And the cool thing is, it'll then save those notes to your ClickUp workspace. So everything's in one place. And then you could take that transcript, you could paste it into ChatGPT and do some more cool stuff with it. I think you have to be transcribing your meetings these days because you want to be feeding whatever AI model you're using with your meetings and with all the, not just the notes, but the transcripts so that it can really learn about the nuances of the meetings you're having. That's like a super hack that I will do a full video on eventually. So that's just one new feature that I really like. Some other things that are really cool is that there's an entire docs feature, so you could replace something like Notion. And I will say, none of these features are as good as the standalone products that they try to replace. For instance, yes, Notion is a little bit better. Or if you look at the whiteboards, something like Miro is a little bit better. Or even with the AI note taker, I would argue that Granola and Fathom is a little bit better. But do you really want to pay on a per seat basis for everyone on your team to have access to all those tools? Or do you want to pay for one tool that's going to get you about 80% of the way there, but it's one subscription per person? And that's the value promise that ClickUp gives. And I think they deliver on that. And it's just good enough where you're not going to really complain about the missing features or functionality because you don't have to pay for 10 different subscriptions for each person on your team. So if that sounds interesting to you, then that's where ClickUp is going to shine. If you say, hey, I have unlimited budget, I really don't care about everything being connected, I don't care about the cost, then I would say, maybe use a different project management tool if you don't want access to everything, and then go get a separate AI note taker and get a separate whiteboard tool and use something like Notion for team documentation. But you really want to do all that. Some other things that I like, if we look just at the project management aspect of it, is that it's super customizable. And if we look down, let's look at projects real quick. So you can see they pretty much have everything you need. It's all drag and drop. You can have Kanban style boards. You could have charts, dashboards, lists, different sections. You could have custom columns, due dates. You can assign tasks to one person, which I think is a really important thing. I don't like assigning a single task to multiple people. This lets you assign it to one person, or you could assign it to multiple, but we've disabled that feature because I like one person to be responsible for a task at any one time. You can have subtasks, you can have notes. The other cool thing that it tries to replace pretty well is Loom. You can record what are called clips, and you can do them as screen shares. You could do audio recordings. So now you can think about all these other tools that you're trying to replace. Loom, Fathom, Granola, Miro for whiteboarding, Notion, Slack if you want to replace it, although I don't ever want to move away from Slack, but it's a really powerful app that's all in one. So the way they show you here, it says the ClickUp way, all projects, docs, and chat in one platform, instantly find anything across all tools, automated reporting, updates, and resource management, AI-powered workflows, manage tasks, dependencies, and deadlines. We didn't even get into the workflows and the AI capabilities. I would say out of all these tools that we covered, without a doubt, ClickUp is the most AI forward of them at the moment, to the point where they even have something that we just started using literally maybe a week ago, and it's called ClickUp Brain. This thing is amazing. I'll tell you a quick little story. I was looking for a way to have a shared AI workspace that we could get for our team, because I wanted all of our team members to be able to use the same AI workspace that would be fed with all of our data, and we would pay on a per seat basis, whatever. I was looking at ChatGPT Teams, Claude Teams, Gemini, which doesn't really have anything that's really team centric. And then I somehow stumbled on ClickUp Brain, and we were already using ClickUp, which is amazing. So it was a simple upgrade. It is a little bit extra, but we don't have to go out there and get a ChatGPT team subscription or a Claude team subscription. We can just use this. Now, it is pretty new. They have this separate app that's a desktop app called Brain Max. Crazy name. I'll actually show you what it looks like here. So here it is. Let me expand it out. And what's so cool about this is that it connects to all of these different things that you're already using. So Google Drive, Google Calendar, Figma, your ClickUp projects, Gmail, a whole bunch of different sources. And so if you're using those products, it brings all of that into one place. But the beautiful part about it is you also get access to all of these different models. So you get all of the ChatGPT models, the Claude models, and the Gemini models. And I'm talking about the LLMs here. So you don't have to go get separate subscriptions for your team for all of that. And I would say in theory, this is exactly what I wanted. In practice, I think it still has some work, and you can see it's in beta. It's version 0.93. It's not been out for a very long time, so it's gonna get a lot better. But the idea here is that if we're using this as our shared AI workspace, this can be what helps our team collaborate more effectively, and it knows and it learns about our projects. And the other really cool feature that I like, is this one here, which is also built into Brain Max in the desktop app, and it's called Talk to Text. And you can see this little widget over here on the side. So if I hold down my function key, it'll start dictating whatever I say into text. Now, I was using a tool called Whisperflow, and Whisperflow is incredible, but it's an additional subscription, right? So it's one of those things where, yes, Whisperflow is a little bit more accurate, but do you really want to pay for that additional subscription when you could just use something like this? It's built in, it's one subscription, and it gets you about 80% of the way there. But this is another hack. I need to make a separate video on this. If you're not using voice dictation and you're writing a lot of emails or Slack messages, you are missing out, because typing just takes way too long. Even if you consider yourself a fast typer, you can always talk faster than you can type. And so this is an amazing productivity saver right here. I probably use this single feature or this concept more than any other app. If we go back and look at Whisperflow, which I literally just stopped using so that I could start testing this one out, which is built into ClickUp Brain Max, I'm like always using this thing. It's amazing. I tell everyone about it. So why do you want to go pay for Whisperflow when you could just get it built in to Brain Max? So that alone, I think, is worth it. So there you have it. Those are the 5 project management platforms in a nutshell. We've covered Trello, Asana, Basecamp, Monday.com, and the one that we ended up switching to, which I'm very happy with, which is ClickUp and ClickUp Brain Max, which is their separate but integrated AI component of ClickUp. And I hope this is helpful. If you have any questions, just post them below. I'll do my best to answer them. If you want to give ClickUp a try, I will put a special link below. It is a partner link, so we do get a small kickback if you end up using our link. But hopefully, if this has been helpful to you, you want to support the channel, and that's a great way to do it. And if you want more videos like this, give it a like and subscribe, because I will have a lot more marketing, productivity, and AI videos headed your way.